Hey, what's going on, everyone? So we finally, probably for about the past week or so, we finally have more updated, kind of leaked specs, but semi-confirmed information about the new upcoming Fuji cameras. Now, if you haven't been living under a rock, we've been kind of hearing about this XH2, the XH1 replacement for, what, 2-3 years at this point or whatever it is, since the XH1 got officially discontinued. We finally have more news about what's going to be the XH2, but even more than that, the XH2s, which is a pretty more video demanding Fuji camera, which once again, everyone more or less goes to Sony for video, etc. But with what the Fuji XH1 provided, it opened some eyes into what Fuji can do for the video market. So let's talk a little bit about the XH2 and the XH2s. Now, a couple years ago, Fuji came out with the Fuji X-H1, which once again was a completely different look for the Fuji line, but it very heavily more focused on video aspects, a little bit more advanced video, and was just an overall different thing for them. Now, I feel at the time, maybe it didn't blow up to the popularity that a lot of people credit to as they do right now, because it seems as soon as it got more or less discontinued and people stopped, it really wasn't coming out there, everyone started to go, wait, we kind of like the XH1. What are we missing out on? Let's go try, let's go pick one up, let's go try it out. But wait a minute, what's going to be the XH2? That's why it got discontinued, right? And then you haven't heard much until basically right now. So at the end of the month of May, I believe, so at the end of this month, I believe, is the summit that Fuji will have. Well, they will talk about basically their roadmap for their lenses and upcoming cameras, but we will hear about these two new cameras. So basically the big thing to note is that there's going to be two different models, obviously, the H2 and the S version. One is going to have a super high megapixel count, but it will still be crop sensor. If you're thinking Fuji's going to go full frame, once again, they do not like the full frame market. They basically stay crop or go medium format. But the normal plain old XH2 will be a newly developed 40 megapixel sensor. So they're going to start pumping some high resolution out of these bad boys right here. Now, there isn't a ton that's out for it per se at the moment, but it does say that both models will have 5-axis image and belly stabilization. Great. Of course, it's highly needed. Dual slots, either it's going to be dual USD slots or one SD and one CF Express, which is pretty good for, continuing what they want to know. And it should be under the $2,000 mark. And we noticed this with a lot of the X2 line, X100, X Pro line. Well, the 3 was a little ridiculous in my opinion, but this should fall under that. But then we have the more buffed out XH2S. So like I said, with this S, it's going to be kind of more their beefed up video option with a new sensor for itself. It's going to be crop sensor as well, but it's going to be a newly developed 26 megapixel sensor. And they really, for some reason, the leak and some of the stuff coming out is more focused on the improved autofocusing and them kind of catching more up to Sony with everything like that, but specifically pointing out animal and object AF improvements and technologies and everything. So be interested to see how that really happens there. Once again, they expressed the CF Express card compatibility, which I think is very key for the speed and everything you need for video and for what they're about to churn out. Now, there's some indications that there's going to be something 8K related, but they don't know if the 8K video is going to be some interpolated something that would be more towards the 40 megapixel sensor. So we'll see about that. But pretty much everything we're hearing about the XH2S is that it will do 6K video, and will also do 4K video at full 120 frames per second. So that's a very big deal if you're into that. It will have a flip screen, which a lot of the leaked images already show that as well. And it will be over $2,000. But some interesting stuff that also came out with it is that for this new video heavy model, there is an actual cooling fan that they will have as an attachment. So people were saying, some of the leaks were saying that, of course, it's going to run fine without it. It eventually might overheat, which makes sense, and Sony is well aware of that too. But they have this like low-powered fan that you put right on the back of it, and it helps disperse that heat. I think it's a really cool idea. It looks a little funky, but this is stuff that we've seen that Canon was possibly going to use that never really made it out or anything like that. But Fuji's basically coming out and saying, yep, that's going to be it. So this is kind of all we have right now about the new upcoming XH2 and XH2S. And I think it's going to be pretty cool when these actually come out. And once again, the XH1 kind of slid a little bit under the table for a little while until it started to get a little scarce, and then people started to realize how good it was. I have a review on that. I actually really liked the thing. I liked the look of it. I liked the layout of it. you know, a couple years ago when we had it, we took that out in the real world. So I'll put that down below if you're interested in seeing what the original was like. But I'm very excited to see what we don't 100% know, which we kind of know most of the basics and everything. So very excited to see what comes out here. But if you're a Fuji user, let me know your thoughts down below. Do the X-H2, the X-H2s kind of sound of interest to you? Let me know down in the comments.